I'm assuming I don't have to introduce myself, so I'm just going to go on. How many of you do not know who I am? Good. I don't have to introduce myself. Lately, I've stopped giving talks. Why? Because I could give a good talk to the wrong audience. And so I said, I don't know what my audience cares about. I don't know what you care about. So what I do instead of talks is I answer questions. So first of all, though, tell me a little bit about why you are here. Just a few of you tell me, what is it you'd like me to talk? I have a lot of topics. I've been around a long time, so I can talk about many topics. And most of you probably know my book, The Design of Everyday Things. For me, that's an old book, and so I don't talk about that today. But if you really want to, I will talk about it. So tell me what you're interested in. The design of everyday things. I'll go with that. I like that. He said, okay, the design of everyday things, but the first edition was 1988. And then I finally revised it in 2013, 10 years ago. So what has changed since then? Okay, first of all, what I have been teaching in the design of everyday things is called human-centered design. And so I am here to tell you that it is wrong. So let me explain why it's wrong. First of all, there's nothing in the book that's wrong. I still teach it, I still believe in it. What is wrong is what is not in the book. For example, to make these lovely things, or this, the designers and the book does not talk about how we destroy the environment to get the materials, how we destroy the environment in smelting and manufacturing, how we destroy the environment because, well, this is made to last for a while, but the phone, you're supposed to buy a new one every 2 or 3 years, a computer every 3 or 4 years, an automobile every 5 or 6 years, and they're not made so they're easy to fix, easy to repair, easy to update. And the modern automobiles are even worse. You want to know what's happening? I'll talk about it, but I have a new car, and I got, actually a graduate student ran into it. It was a very minor damage, but it cost many thousands of dollars to repair because in order to repair the side panel, they had to take it off the car and repair it. That probably cost $100. But then they had to recalibrate the video cameras, the radar, and the sonar systems that the car, that the AI, if you will, in the car depends upon. And so it's any minor problem with today's cars costs a huge amount of money to repair. So that wasn't in the book either. We didn't talk about maintaining and making it easy to update and repair. And we also, in the digital world, people in the digital world say, oh no, that doesn't apply to me. Yes, it does. Everything you do electronically or digitally runs on physical products. And if you want to know about the new AIs, it takes, to train some of these AIs, it takes more power than some small countries use in a year, a huge amount of electricity. What's interesting is AI, the A, remember, stands for artificial. So it's not really the human brain, but it mocks the human brain. But how much power does this take? 100 watts, 200 watts, something like that. Not a megawatt, not a terawatt. So we still don't know how to do things appropriately. So what is happening today, though, is that we are in the middle of a number of technology revolutions. For example, sensors. We have new kinds of sensors that go all over. We can measure the world from a distance. We can measure agriculture. We can measure, farming goods. We can measure chemicals. We can see the actual atoms interacting in a chemical reaction. And we have sensors that measure things in the body, which is changing medicine dramatically. Second, we have new ways of batteries, very small, powerful batteries. So more and more things are battery operated. And motors, small, powerful motors. So more and more things. So my car has 2 batteries, that's all. One huge battery and one small battery. But it has hundreds of motors and hundreds of CPUs and lots of sensors. So that's changing the world too. The fact that wherever you go, there are sensors and motors and batteries. And what else? Well, there's lots of things that are in this revolution. New materials, new ways of manufacturing. And this is going to change everything. And then, of course, we have today's AI. But I like to remind people that AI has been around for a very long time. I mean, I used to publish in the AI journals in the 1970s and 1980s. And if you take a picture with a cell phone, when the first cell phone cameras were developed, I said, there's no way that the picture from a cell phone can be of high quality. And I said it with great confidence, and I was correct, because the detector is so small, any given pixel is lucky to get 1 photon of light. So how could it be a great picture? Well, take a look at the pictures you take now. Many professional photographers have thrown away their cameras. I used to take a lot of pictures for my books. I would always carry a big camera with me. I don't anymore. It's AI that made the difference. AI that managed to increase the processing and take advantage of the relationships among the adjacent pixels. And for that matter, in many cases, simply take a lot of pictures really fast. Because if you take 10 pictures and superimpose them, it's like having 10 times the area. It's a bit more complicated than that because parts of the image are moving. But basically, AI has made the cameras much better. And you can see the little rectangle around everyone's head. So let's not get caught up in GPT. But today's AI, the GPTs, are going to take over search. They're going to take over everything. And unless you begin to use it yourself, you may lose your job. But if you begin to use it today, you may discover it makes your job better and easier because it can do the stuff that you don't like. And that doesn't really require your skills and allow you to be better at what you care about. So if you're a designer, well, let it do the dirty work of drawing everything, but you tell it like something you would tell an assistant. What I need for this is something that does boom, 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 and it'll come back and it won't be right. So you say, look, and you tell it, well, that's how it's going to be. The AI, the devices of the future, more and more will be run by conversations than by finding the right control or the right command. And that's going to change everything. And so we're filled with things that are going to change. Now, there's one more point I want to talk about because it's what I'm doing now in my life. So I'm very old. I've retired 5 times. And in my last retirement, I said, well, what should I do? Well, if you ask me what kind of a designer I am or what I design designers. I'm an educator. And what I do is I help to educate the next generation. But I said, but wait a minute. The world is filled with problems. And my book, The Design of Everyday Things, and all the others in that series are they're about making things easier to use and easier to understand. And that's good, but it doesn't change the problems of the world. So I wrote a book about the problems of the world, except the problems are very well understood, so I didn't have to describe that. The solutions are very well understood. I didn't have to describe that. But why is nobody doing the solutions? And I said, okay, I have 2 degrees in engineering. I understand technology. I was a psychologist, cognitive scientist. I understand people. I was an industry vice president, executive of Apple. I understand business. I testified before Congress and the Federal Communications Commission to get the very first Wi-Fi band and high-definition TV. And I walked around the halls of Congress and talked to Congress people. So I understand how politics works. Maybe I can do something different here. And that's what this new book is about. It's about changing the way we are doing things. People are really good at responding to disasters. People are really bad at preventing it in the first place. The good news about climate change is that it's causing fires and windstorms and drought and hunger and destruction. That's the good news. And the reason it's good news is because people are now taking it seriously. Well, so what am I going to do besides writing the book? I decided I want to encourage people to do projects not to help industry. Industry can survive by itself, but to help the world. So I want people who do what the United Nations calls the 17 Sustainable Development Projects, things that really help hunger, healthcare, education, homelessness. And so I've offered, I now have a charity. It's called the Don Norman Design Award, DNDA.design. That's the URL. And we're trying to reward not famous people who do good work. They don't need a reward. Early career people just starting out who are doing something and they've actually implemented, they're actually running it, and they have evidence that it is making a change. And I want to reward educational institutions that are training those people. And the evidence I want from them is that their graduates are off doing good things. And so this first year, we've got applications from 26 different countries. And we're still evaluating them, but it really looks like it's going to take off. And we have the Aga Khan Foundation, which works in Africa and Asia, housed in Geneva as our partner. And so that's what I'm doing. Now, we still have a few minutes left, and therefore, anybody, questions, comments, directions?
So I think a big part of this challenge is how do we create a collective shift? I'm shouting. Can you guys hear me? Yeah, how do we create a collective shift? I mean, you're doing something with your skills and talents and what you know and creating an initiative, but as an individual, you're moving the needle. How do we create a collective shift that gets other people to join in?
I said that the United Nations has 17 what we call SDGs, these goals. Actually, there's 16 of them, because number 17 is the answer to your question, that these are big problems. It's going to take a lot of people to solve them. Therefore, number 17 is we must band together to solve them, so that there are thousands or tens of thousands of groups around the world, and I'm in contact with a large number of them. And so it is by grouping together that we can start to approach all these problems. You're right, one single person is not enough, but the world is made up of single people. So, and politicians may listen to money, but there's one thing they listen to more than money, then that's votes. And that's the other way of convincing things to happen. Another question?
Thanks for that. All right, you mentioned, hello everybody. Can you hear me? All right. You mentioned sensors and proliferation of sensors everywhere earlier in your talk. Have you experienced autonomous driving? And what were your observations of that, your insights, kind of imagining a world where autonomous driving becomes the standard?
I've done a lot of work in automobiles. I was a consultant for BMW when they were bringing out the i3. I drove their concept cars way before the i3 was out. I was a consultant for Nissan and Toyota. So yes, I know about autonomous driving. And I have been arguing to the automobile executives for a long time that the problem is much harder than they think, and please don't rush it. Yet, I talked to the CEO of Nissan, and I tried to tell, he wanted complete autonomous driving in 2020. And I tried to explain why that was not possible. Well, it isn't. And I think that the Tesla company, I feel that they are wrong, completely wrong, because they are trying to release things that are not ready. Because when we talk about, in my book, in fact, I talk about this, the physicists say, if you can't measure something, then you don't understand it. Well, that isn't what the physicist said. It was Lord Kelvin. He said that, but before he said that, he said, in the physical sciences, if you can't measure something, you don't understand it. In the human sciences, in the world, we don't know how to measure. That's because in the physical sciences, things are path independent. If I drop something, it doesn't matter how many other times I've dropped it, it will drop with the same way. But if I drop a person or a cat or an animal or anything that's living, I wouldn't even be able to drop it, first of all. And so human behavior is really, really hard to develop laws and rules about what happens. That's why when I tell designers, you must always test and test and test before you release your design. And I consider myself a world authority on human behavior. And when I design something following my great knowledge, I'm wrong more often than I'm right. But because I know that, I'm very careful to test. And no matter how much I have thought about the problem, I'm always surprised by what people do. And so working with people is really hard. So thank you, all of you, for your patience in sitting here. I've just had the 1 minute sign posted to me. So we made it in this noisy environment. So thank you all.